Hello, welcome to the latest episode of Enterprising Minds. Happy Thanksgiving for anybody in the U.S. and anybody who wants to celebrate Thanksgiving. Back at you. Ruthi has two separate ideas for today, so I'm just going to let her start, and we're going to have a discussion. So, Ruthi, what's up?
All right, we'll kick us off with the first, and if we've got time for the second one, we've got one in our back pocket. So
Sounds good.
I had a pretty rough day yesterday. Multiple things just either blew up in my face or projects that I had been working on for months just failed. Really rough, like 2 rough demo meetings in a row. If you've ever had a call where you're presenting and then there's just silence, and you know it's not the good kind. It's not like, wow, I just blew this out of the park. We're doing awesome. This is the no one is speaking because they have either checked out or they have very negative thoughts and you know they're side chatting. It was these types of things. This doesn't happen so often, but you know it happens every once in a while. It happens to all of us, and boy, it was a rough day. And at the moment, I find myself in a curious situation where I don't have straight peers. I'm sort of in a mix where I'm leading a group of folks, and I play that sort of leader role in many places. And I'm on a team though where I'm sort of new and I haven't built rapport with my equivalent peers in the hierarchy, right? And so that's a weird spot to be in. And it'll evolve over time. It always does. And I was thinking to myself, gosh, I wish Alex and Dave, like, I could just Teams chat them, right? Because I'd have a lot, I want to bounce ideas off of somebody. I need a place where there's, yes, Dave is waving his phone at me. And so I was thinking, gosh, this seems like a perfect situation for being able to talk through with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Copilot in the case where I got to talk about like real world situations just to think it through. And it's work related, so it's proprietary. We got to keep it in-house. And I sent you guys a message just to say, hey, like which is the tool that does this best? And what's funny, I'll just add this too. What's funny is I think we had talked it previous in the show, how we were surprised how many people were using ChatGPT in sort of a therapy situation. And here I found myself in this isn't really something that I'm going to take the time out of Dave or Alex's day. And part of it might be I've got internal stuff that I can't talk about. But then is one of these AI tools better than others at helping you think through the problems. And I'm not talking trying to solve like how do I build a dashboard problems, but help me reframe, help me sort of tease out what's happened and get to a different spot, which is a thing that I have found useful in other contexts of like, help me reframe a problem I'm working on. But this was in sort of a more human emotional context. And so two thoughts, and then I'll open it up. One is I was surprised to find myself thinking this because I was like, oh, this is a shift in the way that I've thought about AI. It's mostly been task-based that I've used this. So that was a surprise to me, I guess. There was only 1 point, not 2 points. What do you guys think?
Okay, so first question, Alex. Have you used an AI as an emotional support buddy, whether personal, work?
Maybe in some way. I mean, it depends on the depth that you're talking about. I've definitely used them for like random advice at times. Maybe did something recently of like using voice mode on ChatGPT and then having it like quiz me with questions and do a kind of a Q&A response kind of thing. So I definitely have done some stuff like that. Probably more technical, to be honest.
Okay.
What about
Well,
you?
that's very on brand for you, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I will say for me, I have used, not in like the full therapy kind of way, but like I did have a bad meeting where we were talking about it was related to like career progression and like how things are supposed to happen. Supposed to being sort of the key word there, right? And I found myself like I can't focus on this. I'm too worked up. So I went for a walk and I went way out of the way to find a meeting room where it's like, all right, nobody's going to know me. And luckily it was late in the day, so a lot of people already left. And I did have the weird experience of having to, in the very prompt, and I was using voice mode. So this is the other thing. I'm talking to the air. But then prompting it, I just had a bad meeting. Let me rant for a little bit and then pick apart the pieces that actually matter. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
whereas because like I know I'm too worked up about this to actually see the real things.
Yeah.
Right. But then in having to prompt, it forced me to then work through, okay, here's what my expectations were. Here's how this meeting did not match up with my expectations. What are the go forward things that we can then do? Right. Also, don't come back with me with overly positive things. I'm not in the mood right now. Like, those are excellent questions. No, screw you, GPT. I'm not in the mood. Like,
Yeah.
You bring up just two really important things. So one is, I think what you described with the rant and like talk back to me, what is the important things is kind of what I was looking for, which is I need a mirror that helps me see this in a different light or more objectively, or helps me move forward. Like, where are my opportunities for moving forward? Because as soon as I see those, I can latch onto them. Like I'm not sort of I'm not wanting to stew in the trouble. I can't quite figure it out on my own. And so that's a really cool way. And the voice to text piece, I think, probably makes a big difference because you have a different way of thinking through. But then that brings me to my second piece, which is I have noticed, especially in the last few weeks, the types of projects that I have been using Copilot to tackle. The writing of the prompt forces me to be much more clear in what it is I'm trying to accomplish. And I'm sure we've talked about this in previous episodes, but that's such a powerful tool. And if you don't have the habit and the practice of journaling, particularly about work items, this is a mechanism through which you're almost doing that, but in sort of a very productive towards what you're trying to do way at work.
There's that quote: a problem written down is 80% solved. That does get to it. It's actually interesting between the two of you. Of Dave, I totally would agree with that. Of like voice kind of speaking out what's going on, but I would want to read the response. Actually, I would want to shift.
Really.
And that would be a faster way for me to digest it and kind of skim through it and get to the next point, which would then maybe go back to voice prompting or just typing in and kind of like moving on from there. So that's interesting too, of like, a lot of that between the two of you. I mean, that's framework. I mean, you're able to take yourself enough out of the situation, understand what you need to be able to kind of break it down to actually be able to ask for that versus just being like, grabbing a random coworker and being like, we need to take a walk. I need 5 minutes. Like, I don't even know what on earth just happened. And you're still in the processing moment of like, that didn't go well. It didn't feel good. And I'm stuck on those feelings right now. Like I haven't gotten anywhere past, that moment, you're still at that, first stage.
Right. Yeah. There is a certain underlying self-awareness that is kind of necessary. In order for these things to then context. So like that was the thing for me where it's just like, look, I know myself, I'm going to be upset about this, but give me like 20 minutes to just rant on it. And then that steam will be gone.
Sure.
I might be tired and I don't want to deal with it, and that's fine. That's what tomorrow's for. But like, you know,
Yeah.
But then also like with that conversation around, not just about like, hey, talk me off the ledge kind of thing, which that's extreme. But also like even with jobs, I've found this is my perception of my skills and what I bring to the table. This is how I talk about myself when I am going through job interviews or like face-to-face things or, you know, those sorts of things. Mm-hmm. These are the roles that I want to go after. Am I a fit already, or do I need to change my narrative around how I'm presenting myself, my skills, my whatever? You know, are there things I should bring more forward? Should I bring things, you know, sort of quell things down? And it was an interesting process of doing that over time, because I realized, you know what, I haven't been giving myself enough credit for the music background that I have, and the amount of work and the amount of entrepreneurship that is sort of inherent in that, that is applicable to other things. And then it's my job to actually sell that idea, and give myself credit for it so that other people do as well. So I know it's sort of a side tangent piece, but I think it's definitely related to the other thing.
And I think what I noticed too is it's really valuable if you have a friend who can give you honest feedback. But mm-hmm. That's hard. Like that is a very rare, difficult thing to find. And even if your friend does give you honest, true feedback, sometimes there's a limit to how much another person can say and retain the relationship. Whereas what's interesting about this scenario is you're saying, hey, give it to me. You're not friends with the AI. So and there's not like, so you might be able to get a larger list, or potentially more poignant feedback as a result. Now, of course, it's going to be missing a fair amount of context in the day-to-day and how you interact with people. So you're not going to get everything. Right. And the second thought I had is one of the values I've seen in working with Copilot on different projects is just getting a very different perspective than anyone on my team or that I bring to the table. And sometimes it's super helpful to get something that you wouldn't normally run into, to just balance out what kind of perspective you have. Because it could be you're sort of sitting in a biased bubble over here.
Mm-hmm. And that the idea of AI being sort of the average of everyone's knowledge. I've never been big on crowdsourcing information ever, but if you take an average of everything that's out there, that's at least a halfway decent floor to test yourself against, right? At least for bias, right? Because there are some very strong cultures for sure that you want to be like, all right, this company is mostly engineers. I'm trying to do something creative. For the love of God, help me describe this in engineer speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some interesting points there also of like AI's use. There was, this is part of my Minnesota Nice background, but there's an Ethan Molnick article that really helped me because he needed like a blog post title. So he asked for 25 and then asked for like another 10. And I like used to feel bad being like, oh man, I shouldn't ask for this much, you know, of an AI tool, right? Got to get over that to like just keep on kind of hammering at it. But that's a really interesting point here too. Is also basically is it has unlimited patience. It has the understanding that you give it. So context is everything. Like a therapist in the first session, I wouldn't expect a whole lot out of it. Maybe after a few sessions, you know, I would expect something out of it. You know, the first one's just an intro. So kind of similar thing of like the first chat is going to just be an intro. And then eventually we'll get into something that's, you know, probably a little bit more, you know, better than the average. Speaking to your point of like, you know, the average response. Yeah, you'll get that the first time, but it's not that great.
Right.
But also like trying to be able to ping this thing kind of constantly whenever you need it. I found to be very helpful too, because like taking like a work example, like the number of different random projects I kind of like spend a little bit of time on that I'm in a meeting, then I have a little bit of time for this, and then there's a question on this one, and then whatever else. I'm able to kind of keep going through those different chat threads of just like, okay, here's the next step, requesting this that step. Okay, that didn't work, try this now, and then go to a different chat and try something else with that one. So then I got a couple different ones going, and that's able to kind of keep that frame of reference a lot longer, which is helpful.
That is a superpower. Like,
being able to like have those different ones run, or being able to have that access to that, or what aspect do you mean?
access to that and having it retain the context to be able to pick it up or help you re-pick it up.
Right.
There's something there that's even a step deeper, and I don't know exactly what it is, but that is something that an extra teammate can't do.
Yeah. And then there's also projects in ChatGPT. If you use those, I use it because I have a personal account that I end up using at work. So I have kind of split up my projects, personal and work. So I have different projects. And so it has memory across both, but it basically focuses more on that particular project and the information that you've given in that project. So that way, at least like when I have the kind of personal discussions, which might be random stuff like, I don't know, woodworking question or some random thing that I might Google, but instead I use ChatGPT for it. Like all that kind of stuff goes into there. So the context there, even kind of the personality of that response is a little bit different than the one that I get for my work project. So it starts to like also deviate a bit. So one tool, slightly different response types based on the context that's been given and the history there. So Dave, you mentioned though, when you were speaking and you got this response, which tool were you using?
So I was using ChatGPT for that one. Okay. It's interesting. My experience with the Google Gemini Live setting, I think because I'm so familiar with Google and I'm used to searching in a particular way, using Gemini in other ways feels like a stretch to me. But I also find, well, this would be an interesting discussion. How are you guys using the various AIs? Because I find myself leveraging ChatGPT much more for like this podcast, for sort of general like creative things, because I've built custom GPTs for that. But then I'm also testing basically anything I do in ChatGPT, I'm also doing in Gemini. But I find myself going to Gemini for more basic knowledge stuff. I trust it more with deep research. I just like the answers it provides better. I think it goes to better sources on the internet than GPT does. Like GPT feels like the type of person that would just give you a list of Wikipedia references. And as somebody who grew up in a family of educators, that is unacceptable. I
get it. Yep.
So yeah, I've been leveraging those things, and then I use Google Gemini for the images for the newsletter, the header images for that, and I cannot get Sora to do it as well as Gemini. And I think part of that is because it was founded as a multimodal model from the get-go. It wasn't LLM plus this other thing. Okay, now stitch them together, right? Yeah, how are you guys finding yourself using them? Which ones are you using?
I use ChatGPT for all of my random questions, like give me the cook time for this thing on my air fryer, or translate this size chart of how big the shirt is and what the measurements of the shirt are, translate that into what actual size I really need, like all those types of things. ChatGPT. I have only just recently started using Gemini because I actively know I want to explore it and see how it's working. So I don't have an answer for you yet. But that's a start.
But then you're using Copilot at work.
And then Copilot is, I mean, that is the bread and butter of my day-to-day.
Interesting.
And I don't even use ChatGPT at work particularly anymore. If I have like a how can I frame this better with Copilot, occasionally I'll use ChatGPT for that because I find it helps me create better Copilot prompts. But the recent upgrades within Copilot have been sufficient to be able to do what I need to do.
So for your personal ones, are you using a free or a paid version?
Paid.
Okay.
Paid.
I'm assuming none of us is paying $200 a month for the top tier.
Not yet.
Okay.
But go fund us and we'll tell you how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Pretty nice.
Alex.
So I have a personally paid license to ChatGPT. And that one is used extensively on myself with my phone at work. I built for my other employees GPTs that create certain types of content that's templated out, brand standards, that kind of stuff. Got a couple of those now that are being shared in the company. So those are kind of private to me, but shared by a link. So that's able to be shared out. So that one's pretty extensive. A lot of technical questions like all day long, ChatGPT basically there. Claude, I've been testing out recently just because I've been hearing a lot of podcasts with some of the creators of it. Basically, long story short, basically, it's a group of individuals who were at OpenAI and thought that they weren't really taking security and safety seriously. So they split off and made their own company, Anthropic. So they made Claude. And some of their mentality behind it of having a pre-trained model with a set of rules and then giving it the information versus just having a model that's just given the information definitely ends up being, there's some quality standards and safety aspects there that it definitely does a lot better. So I've been liking it. Just been playing around with it just recently a little bit more and found some of the responses. Speaking of your Wikipedia kind of thing, we mentioned it in kind of a group chat with you guys, but had the same response to Claude and ChatGPT, and ChatGPT gave me basically kind of like a standard solid kind of friends advice kind of piece, which was good, but it wasn't very specific. And I gave it to Claude, and Claude was like, by week 3, do this. And if you're not seeing results in week 5, do this. And I was like, oh, that's a whole different level. Like that was a lot better. However, I had to keep checking it because it kept making mistakes even within like a single response. It would, conflict itself. Gemini I've used a lot for deep research, and it has been fantastic for that. Speaking of that, tested those exact same prompts against Claude and ChatGPT and Perplexity, and Gemini 100%. Like if I was going to put something together that I wanted to like stand behind at work, that would be Gemini. ChatGPT, even when I really push it for citations, I follow those links and the content is not there.
Yeah.
It's making it up. Like the links are legit links, but it by no means cites that particular, phrase that it just used. Like there's no way that it's backing up any of this.
I had something like that where it was citing company YouTube video. So I clicked into the YouTube video for that particular phrase, and it wasn't. It was a company overview video that they made for like CES or something.
It's completely different.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah. No, it a little bit better recently. Actually, just probably in the last week or two, modified one of my GPTs, and then it now cites sources within our website's public-facing files. And so a list of setup citations for all the different like things that comes up. There's a landing page builder, blog post builder, some other ones that are like that. So, having things that are factual, can have claims that are non-factual.
Right.
So that's actually been really good. So lightly decent. However, the history has been really bad. Gemini also can take a really long time with its deep research.
Yeah.
If you use the thinking model with ChatGPT, there's a selector of different models. You're commonly thrown into ChatGPT 5, which is kind of a filtration model. So it tries to look at your career and tries to guess, do I need to spend a lot of resources on this or a little? Most of the time it goes little, which is why there's a lot of backlash when it first launched. And then if you switch it, though, you can have it just always be thinking, but then you get always a 5 to 10 second, maybe even 20-second pause before you get a response for anything. So it can be a little
always
more
using
frustrating
thinking.
work. What's that?
I'm always using thinking.
Yeah, same. I set it to that just because I use it a lot at work with like technical tutorial kind of things of like, I need to do this, show me how to get to this part of this particular platform,
Right.
more tech stack questions and stuff like that. And the straight regular one, it kept jumping around and missing things, missing labeling things. And when you're trying to like literally look for something on a page, it kind of has to be accurate. Like it's a tutorial.
Right.
So that's been a little frustrating to play with. So I can't say any of them is perfect for everything. That's kind of the problem is like to get to Ruthie, your kind of original question of like which AI tool would you use to kind of decompress from a day? I guess the one that has the most content, most context, that's the one that I would use. But I don't know if any one of them actually can do it perfectly well. And then one
Right.
random note, just so we can have this discussion, because I'm curious, Dave, your thoughts on this is perplexity and image generation. I
Mm,
did a test, you guys know about this like a few months ago, and my gosh, I got some like AI spaghetti soup kind of mess of like imagery
yep.
back from the exact same prompt. And then perplexity came back with something that was almost perfect. Like it was crazy how different. I mean, Claude was like, it looked like a child's drawing of like squares and circles. There was something that somebody created with like the kind of the basic word shapes in PowerPoint or something or in Paint. And then
Hmm.
Google had something, but it made no sense. Like there was elements that were there, but it made absolutely no sense. And then Perplexity was amazing.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of concerns around Perplexity. And I can say it definitely from a scraping standpoint, they scrape sites like crazy and they use third parties to get around rules.
Yep.
They are definitely not playing by the rules.
That's why I don't use them. Yeah.
And then I just had this thing with Reddit and ChatGPT because I saw a design of a thing that I want to build. And I was like, I like some of the elements of this particular build. I want to incorporate that in our current plan. So I posted the link and said, oh, due to rate controls, I can't access that. And then it continued. And then it said, okay, looking online, it uses these particular materials. And there's everything that was listed within that post. So somehow still live ChatGPT gets around the Reddit rate controls as well. So there's I guess I have questions on a lot of these things. I know Reddit has straight contracts with Google, at least. I think one other. So I
Hmm.
kind of have some concerns with Perplexity of using that, especially for anything, I don't know, image wise.
I stopped using Perplexity when I heard a number of interviews with the CEO.
Okay. I haven't
And
seen anything with them.
it was clear to me, and this is my opinion, go do your own research, right? But in listening to him talk, it was very clear that I was like, okay, we're going to build this. I'm going to sell it. And then I'm going to sip, Mai Tais on the beach, and it was just the like, I don't care about the laws because if we get big enough, we'll pay the fines and I'll still get what I want anyway, which is like such a nasty part of San Francisco culture that I just hate. And so I'm like, if you're that outward about it, screw you. I'm not going to support you. I'm not going to use your product. I'm not going to I won't recommend you to any friends that are going to be doing that. So I am not the one to talk about Perplexity. I'm not surprised that you got a better image generation from them because of their
Great to install everything,
laissez
man.
faire,
Yeah.
around copyright. Um, I will say for me, image generation is a lot better on Gemini. Now, granted, I'm not doing very specific things with it, right? It's here's this newsletter. Give me a couple of options that fit the themes of said newsletter, right?
Yeah.
So instead of finding a stock photo image, I now get an AI one that's a little more tailored, and that's just what I need it for. The way the prompting changes, I find is interesting, right? Because with the media piece, you need to have very specific references of like, I like this style of a camera. I want it at this angle. I want,
Yeah.
these elements to be captured. That's very different from I have this thought, help me with this text, which, we end up talking about a lot more. So,
Yeah, I need to do a lot more video generation stuff too. I've not even really gotten into that. And at least for like a work purpose of like, even like a few slider kind of GIFs, kind of things for just banner ads. I haven't even done that. Like I've done a couple random tests, but not
I'm in need of a
consistent
music video if you want to have a project.
Try creating a whole music video. Yeah, I can do it 6 seconds at a time. I hope it's a really short song.
No. I tried a little bit. I did a little bit of a trailer or something for a song release, and that was my last attempt with video generation. But I was leveraging Runway. Runway is really good. That was before Gemini released their new video editing model. I forget what it's called, like Flow or VO or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and so it becomes interesting because if you only get a certain amount of time per generation, I find myself going, okay, I'm going to go to like ChatGPT or I'm going to go to Gemini. I'm going to have it help me create the storyboard of the kind of shots to match the theme, to match like the story of the song, to then create the various scenes that we can maybe jump cut or reuse some of that, or like, all right, maybe I should get a couple of shots of, the artist playing the guitar or instrument or whatever, and then go back to these sort of display things that like reinforce the imagery of the song. Right. Then you go to the image generation and say, okay, here's the overall project. Here's the individual scene I need you to create. Right. And then you see what you get. And the really hard part with that is making sure that you have characters stay the same across the scenes.
Yeah. That's kind of better recently. So I've been looking forward to trying that. The other one I was going to just throw a quick shout out to is Adobe Firefly.
Oh, yeah.
Work-related kind of thing. Just because that you get more legally protected access to your imagery that you've created, versus some of the other ones. It's a little bit more questionable. So,
and what it's doing with backgrounds or like expanding from a narrow shot to a wide shot, that's just awesome.
Yeah.
Getty as well.
Yeah. Well, cool. I don't know, Ruthie, did we answer your question?
I think we had a lovely conversation about my question, which is exactly what we should be doing.
Okay, so what's your next step? Are you going to download Gemini and try a live thing? Because I have fixed a toilet with Gemini Live.
I have the app on my phone now.
Okay.
It took me over a month after you told us about your handy thing, and I have used it to figure out how the heck to use our irrigation system. So far so good. I'll keep you updated.
Okay. Yeah, for those of you who don't know the toilet story, go subscribe to the newsletter. It is on there, Pathways by Enterprising Minds. Thank you for sticking around. I hope you enjoy your time with your family if you're in the States. For all of you German listeners, have a great weekend. And we'll see you in the next episode. Take care. Bye.
Cheers.